And now we have our final presentation for this late brunch time conference opening. I would like to introduce the Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security of the United States of America. The Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary Mayorkas, has led a distinguished 30-year career as a law enforcement official. Before being appointed and confirmed as the first Latino and immigrant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Mayorkas served in multiple law enforcement roles, including federal prosecutor with the Department of Justice, the Director of the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service from 2009 to 2013, and the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from 2013 to 2016. Alejandro, you've had your hands full. We've seen your name in the Israeli press constantly with regards to the challenges you have on board in the United States of America. It's an absolute pleasure to have you address us.
Thank you, Jonathan, for your kind introduction. Thank you to the Institute for Counterterrorism for hosting this conference, and fundamentally for your invaluable expertise and support of the critical counterterrorism mission. My thanks to all of you around the world for joining this 20th Annual World Summit on Counterterrorism. When one visits Jerusalem, one can look up at the top of Ramot to find the 9/11 Living Memorial Plaza. Built with a piece of metal from the Twin Towers, it is the only such monument outside the United States to include the names of all 2,997 victims of the terrorist attacks. The names of 5 Israeli citizens who lost their lives are inscribed there. The monument is a tribute to the deep bond between our two countries, the ties of shared values and interests, the connections of family and friendship, the relationships in intelligence cooperation, information sharing, and policy exchanges between organizations like ICT and the United States Department of Homeland Security. It is also a reminder of what we felt in the aftermath of the September 11 attacks. We remember where we were and what we were doing when we learned the news of airplanes striking the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and crashing into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Powerfully, we remember the sense of unity in the days and months that followed. Not just the way Americans came together in solidarity and service, but how newspapers, leaders, and citizens across the world proclaimed in multiple languages, "We are all Americans." It was a statement of our humanity and our common resolve. Few better understood what 9/11 meant and what dangers lay ahead than the people of the State of Israel, where acts of terror have for too long been a primary tactic of enemies sworn to the state's destruction. You appreciate what we do and why our resilience and our vigilance in the fight against terror is so vital. It is about saving lives, protecting our way of life, and preserving our people's future. We lost 13 members of our armed forces in Kabul just over 2 weeks ago. We mourn them and we honor them through the work we do for the homeland they have made possible. Throughout the years, we have guarded against foreign terrorists seeking to break through our defenses. We have seen and countered homegrown violent extremists inspired and radicalized to violence by the ideology of foreign terrorist organizations. More recently, we have confronted domestic violent extremists motivated by ideologies of hate and false narratives often spread on social media or other online platforms. At the same time, we confront threats posed by cyber criminals, climate change, transnational criminal organizations, foreign actors attacking our elections, and more. Our Department of Homeland Security has led the fight against these very threats. We have designed a counterterrorism architecture to confront them and to adapt to the different threats we might face. The architecture is built on one key pillar: partnership. It is increasingly clear that no nation can achieve its security alone. From our earliest days, the Department of Homeland Security has acted to identify and stop threats to America long before they reach our shores. With the help of our allies, such as Israel, we share threat information and best practices, strengthen cargo security, and enhance our air and maritime security. When I served as the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security more than 4 years ago, we entered into a cybersecurity agreement between our two countries that strengthened us both. DHS is fundamentally a department of partnerships. That is the case on every issue we work on, and it is certainly true in the field of counterterrorism. At home, the partnership takes the form of deeper ties with our intelligence community, improved information sharing with state, local, tribal, and territorial governments, and closer coordination with federal partners like the FBI, the National Counterterrorism Center, and others. The terrorist threats, though, know no borders, and our partnerships extend abroad as well. We share information in the areas of aviation security, border security, law enforcement, cybersecurity, and maritime security. We share intelligence and relevant data with our counterparts overseas. We will do this by building upon our various information sharing efforts, many in accordance with UN Security Council resolutions such as 2178 and 2396. These resolutions concentrate on measures to address returning and relocating foreign terrorist fighters and transnational terrorist groups, counter violent extremists, and increased information sharing. We have increased aviation security on a bilateral basis with Israel and other countries, and multilaterally through UN Security Council resolutions. These types of agreements have raised the global bar on aviation security. From increased passenger and cargo information sharing, which is paramount to preventing illicit travel and the movement of contraband, to shared analyses of trends in terrorism and crime, we strengthen our collective security. Together, we see growing danger from domestic violent extremists, a phenomenon I know ICT has observed rising in Israel too. We see the increasing role of social media as the fora that malign actors exploit to instigate radicalization and violence. We see the expanding risks posed by cybercrimes, including ransomware attacks, and the dissemination of misinformation and disinformation by domestic and foreign actors, by criminal organizations that aim to sow discord and undermine the rule of law. As a Department of Homeland Security and as a federal government, we are meeting each of these challenges, building on the capabilities developed over the past 20 years. We have enhanced our cooperation with state and local governments, non-government organizations, and the private sector to assist in efforts to prevent acts of violence and an individual's descent into violent extremism. We have established a dedicated domestic terrorism branch and a Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships to empower and equip local communities to identify and prevent the extremists from perpetrating an act of violence in the first place. In our department and across our government, in collaboration with allies and colleagues worldwide, our focus remains fixed on the partnership that we must continuously strengthen to counter the ever-evolving terrorist threats we face. We are privileged to rely on the talent and dedication of the experts at ICT, and we are privileged to work with all of you to strengthen one another and protect our people and our shared values. Thank you for your partnership.